Pretty interesting time to be a political director for a major radio network in Washington, D.C. these days. Things have spun out of control. I don't know what's really important and what's sort of spin. So where are we, Rick?
Well, the different scandals have overlapped with each other, and they've become more complicated as a result. And then, of course, President Trump's now going back on a foreign trip to complicate things even further. Here's the bottom line. We're waiting to hear from James Comey. His testimony, what he says about what pressure he received on the Russia investigation will be critical in understanding where this scandal goes. And it is a scandal. It's a full-blown scandal now with the special counsel and everything. So it's going to be an interesting split screen because you'll have the president going to the Middle East, going to Israel, going to Europe for NATO, and back home we were going to have committee hearings, and American newspapers are going to be playing out these two different scandals that intersect with each other in real time.
Is Jim Comey going to testify in front of Congress in public, in private, or neither?
He has told through associates that he wants to do it in public. It may be in private first. It may be neither, given the fact that there's now a special counsel. If Robert Mueller wants to take control of the investigations, he may insist that we not hear anything from Director Comey publicly until he talks to him privately. So the question of his notes is out there. He has been invited to Capitol Hill hearing next week. He hasn't responded to that yet. One committee member saying I couldn't find his phone number. It looks like he changed since he left the FBI and handed in the government phone. But I think that next step will be just very important in understanding where the story goes.
Clearly, James Comey is going on the offense every day, like clockwork. There's another story from a friend of James Comey giving out embarrassing information about this president and about the administration.
Yeah, that's sure what it looks like. He was sacked about a week and a half ago, and it does seem like every day a new friend of Comey, either off the record or on the record, talks about details of what he was saying in real time. And, remember that President Trump fired the first shot and then another shot after that. He fires him, and then he says he better hope there's no tapes of those conversations. In the meantime, we've learned of the notes, and we've learned of what he's been telling associates, and it does seem like there's quite an interesting story for Jim Comey to tell.
Also, Rod Rosenstein yesterday telling senators that he knew Comey was going to be fired before he was ever summoned to the White House to write that memo.
Yeah, and this is just the latest contradiction in the official line on this. At the beginning, remember, the White House said Rosenstein wrote the memo. It was his recommendation. And then the president ended up taking responsibility for it entirely. Then at his press conference yesterday, he seemed to put it back on Rosenstein. And now Rosenstein is saying he knew even before he wrote the memo that he was going to be fired. That is another in a series of contradictions.
Rick Klein, how long is Robert Mueller going to take for this to be done?
Well, this is not going to be fast. He's got 60 days just to come up with a budget and a staff. I've been told by some people it could be months or years for him to finish. I do know that they're cognizant of political timelines, and the closer you get to the midterm elections next year, I personally, based on that, would be surprised if we saw anything before January of 2019. I really think we're on like an 18-month to 2-year type of time frame.
All right. If that's the case, then how does Washington get anything done in the next 18 months to 2 years?
It doesn't. I mean, this is distracting everything. The hope among Republicans is that this gives them some breathing room because the question was lingering. What are you going to do about a special prosecutor, a special counsel? And now they can say there is one. He's answering the questions. Let's move on. Let's talk about taxes. Let's talk about health care. Let's talk about infrastructure. I don't know that works. And you still have the parallel congressional investigations. You have the drip of information coming out. I don't think you can put blinders on and pretend like there's nothing going on here. There's a lot going on, and it is not positive for this White House. And I think their agenda is effectively stalled for the foreseeable future.
What about Mike Pence? Seems like Mike Pence has sort of been the front of this and been the guy who's trying to keep the trains run on time, but he seems to be kept out of the loop on quite a bit.
You have to feel bad for Mike Pence because at least 2 occasions he was totally cut out of information. The first, of course, is when he said that Flynn didn't have any conversations with Russian officials, and then, of course, that story changed, and Michael Flynn ended up being fired. The second, now, we're learning that the transition team knew or was told through official channels, even Michael Flynn himself, that he was under investigation by the Justice Department. Pence put out a statement saying he didn't know about it. So either he was willfully ignorant or out of the loop. I don't know what's better if you're the Vice President of the United States.
Rick Klein, great job. Thanks for breaking it down for us. Have a good day.
Hey, thank you.
You got it. 710 here, Big 550 KTRS. That's why he's the political director for ABC News. That was a good rundown.
Yes.
7-Eleven here.